Today I am going to talk about WWE Unreal, and right at the top, I gotta admit, I was wrong about it. With season 3 coming out in the next week or so, I finally decided to go back and watch the first two seasons, and I've been putting this off for so long simply because I did not like the idea of it, and I gotta be honest, I really, really wanted to hate this, but I didn't. I would even go as far as saying I enjoyed it. There were still things I certainly wasn't a fan of, and if I was actually in the business, I probably would hate everything about this, but I'm not. I'm just a mark. So there was certainly a bunch of stuff I found real enjoyable to watch, and I'm gonna share my thoughts on it. Give you what I liked, give you what I didn't like, what I found interesting, and just my overall thoughts on the first two seasons. So let's get into it. Let's start with the negative stuff first, get the things I didn't like out of the way, and then move on to some of the more positive stuff. First thing I didn't like is just constantly telling people professional wrestling is fake. That is not new information in 2026. That does not make you smart to the business. That doesn't mean you're in the know. You're not saying something that everyone already knows. I don't think there was a time in my life where I thought wrestling was real. I have been watching it my entire life because my dad was a professional wrestling fan and got me into it. So as a little boy in the 90s, I don't even think I thought professional wrestling was real back then. So certainly in 2026, the percentage of people who think it is real is minuscule, and just constantly telling people it's fake does no benefit to anyone, and I'm just not a big fan of it. I'm not one of those it's still real to me, damn it, people, but I just don't see the benefit in constantly telling people it's fake. Makes no sense to me. Going along those lines, I don't like the title. I don't like the title of Unreal. There can be multiple connotations to it. It can mean unreal, as in, like, what you're about to see is a spectacle. What you're about to see is unbelievable. It's crazy. It's unreal. So it could have that meaning, but more than likely it means unreal, as it just not being real. And again, not a fan of constantly telling people professional wrestling is fake. I'm also not a fan of the fact that WWE is who is like producing it and promoting it. I think if a separate entity did this for WWE instead of WWE being the ones to do it, I probably would have checked it out sooner. Because I'm not a fan of WWE promoting this on like Monday Night Raw, of telling you, hey, check out this TV show that tells you how fake our business is. I'm not a fan of that being promoted on Raw. So if a separate entity did this, kind of like how Beyond the Mat was done, I believe, by Lionsgate in the late 90s. Vince was involved at first, and then he kind of pulled the promotion, whatever that controversy was. But I think if a separate entity did this exact show, I would have been willing to check it out way sooner than the fact that WWE did it. That's just a preference of mine. I wish it was someone else doing it and not WWE being the ones who are promoting, hey, our show's fake. Check out this TV show that tells you that. So, not a fan of that. And the number one thing I am not a fan of in this entire series is, as soon as two wrestlers get back from a match, whether they're supposed to be heated rivals, whatever it may be, they're immediately hugging each other, they're crying, and all of this stuff. Specifically, the Tiffany Stratton and Charlotte Flair interaction, their WrestleMania match. In the build up to that, there was that one promo that kind of went off the rails, and it felt like it got personal. And that is kind of what drew the interest in that match. The gray area of, like, hey, do these people actually not like each other? Does Tiffany and Charlotte not like each other? What's this matchup gonna look like? Are they gonna be stiff with each other? Are they gonna be able to work a match here? So that was a lot of the interest and the intrigue in that match, for WrestleMania, of that gray area of, is this two people who don't like each other? And I think that's a special part of pro wrestling, of just not knowing. I think not knowing if people don't like each other, if people like each other. I think the idea of just not being in the know on everything is beneficial to enjoying professional wrestling. And then they had this physical match, this match that wasn't the cleanest. Tiffany got her tooth chipped or whatever, so it was a real physical match. So even after watching the match, you could think like, hey, these two do not like each other. And then on Unreal, as soon as they get behind the curtain, they're hugging each other, they're crying, they're doing all of this type of stuff. And then there was another one between Kevin Owens and Triple H when Kevin Owens gave Cody Rhodes a pile driver and Triple H came out and KO and Triple H kind of got into this shoving match. As soon as they got backstage, they're high fiving each other. They're saying, hell yeah, this is awesome, stuff like that. I'm not a fan of that type of stuff. I am not saying I don't want this stuff to happen. I think it's awesome that you can have this real physical match between each other and it seems as if you guys actually hate each other, and then you come backstage and you kind of hug and embrace and are grateful for what you just did. I think that's awesome. I want that to happen. I just don't want to see it. I don't want to see that on Netflix. I don't want to see it getting out. I wish kind of that stuff was kept more personal to those who are involved. That's just a preference of mine. I'm not a big fan of that. So that's the stuff I did not like. So let's move to the more positive stuff, the stuff I kind of found interesting, and the stuff that I did enjoy. And the number one thing is just the emotion. It was a real emotional series between wrestlers, producers, managers, whoever it may be. There was a lot of emotion, family. There was a lot of emotion in this TV show, more than I was expecting. And I would say my favorite display of this was with CM Punk main eventing his first WrestleMania. It was amazing to see. Before he went out for the triple threat with Seth Rollins and Roman Reigns, Michael Hayes went up to Triple H, told him like, "Hey, Punk's getting nervous, blah blah blah, because first WrestleMania moment or whatever." Triple H went and embraced him, let him know like, "Hey, you're a main eventer, you belong here," all that type of stuff. So that was cool to see. Kind of Triple H trying to calm CM Punk's nerves, and then they went out there. They had that match that was amazing. And when they came back and they did their second interview with CM Punk, he was so emotional. He could not keep it together. He was bawling his eyes out, and that was great to see. I thought it was awesome to see just how meaningful main event in WrestleMania is to him. Because when I was a kid growing up, main event in WrestleMania was always, in my opinion, it still is. Main event in WrestleMania is the pinnacle of professional wrestling. So it was cool to see him get emotional of finally reaching that mountaintop after 25 plus years in professional wrestling. And I thought the fact that he showed these emotions was great because there's plenty of people who have main evented a lot of WrestleManias who wouldn't share those same emotions. They don't care as much as that. So I thought it was awesome to see CM Punk get so emotional in that moment. Another thing I found very interesting in this series is that pro wrestlers are very insecure. I don't think that's surprising at all, being what comes with the profession and what it takes to succeed in the profession. So, not surprised by it, but I thought they did a good job of showing this. And I thought they particularly did a good job when wrestlers would come back after their matches. They would always come back looking for approval, whether that be from the producers of the match, whether that be from Triple H, Bruce Pritchard, whoever it may have been. They just wanted to be told, like, hey, good job. You did good out there. That was good. That was great. No mess up. Stuff like that. So they were always just looking for like that nod of approval. And I thought one of the more interesting ones with this, again, was in that CM Punk, Roman Reigns, Seth Rollins main event, where anyone watching thought it was amazing with the Heyman heel turn and just the match they had. It was one of the better WrestleMania main events of recent memory. And when CM Punk came backstage, Michael Hayes went up to him and he was like, "You guys had them." And Punk said something along the lines of, "You think so?" And then Michael Hayes was like, "No, I fucking know so." So it was cool to see that, like, even after CM Punk just had this amazing match, he was unsure or he was uncertain. And obviously, if he went and watched it back, he probably would have been certain. But just being unsure in the moment, I thought it was kind of cool to see that aspect of professional wrestlers. Another thing I really enjoyed was Becky Lynch. Becky Lynch is just amazing. I became an even bigger fan of hers after watching this, and I'm not sure how that's possible. The stuff when she had to hide Seth Rollins' injury from family, from friends, and stuff like that, it was just hilarious. After it was finally revealed, she was like in the ring with Triple H, just whispering like, "Don't fucking let me, don't tell me anymore, don't tell me anymore." And she was just like getting at Triple H for her having to be in the know, and it was Becky Lynch is awesome. It was also cool seeing her get emotional when she heard her theme song for the first time, her new theme song. and one of the lyrics says something along the lines of like the ghost sitting there or something like that. And she first heard it in the arena where her late father saw her wrestle. He was sitting ringside, so she kind of heard that song, looked at where he was sitting, and got emotional. I thought that was cool to see. But yeah, Becky Lynch kind of stole the show for me, and everything, every segment she was involved in on the show, I thoroughly enjoyed. I thought another interesting thing was how, and this was kind of, I think they did this more in the first season, but they would have wrestlers tell you what they view their character as. So Rhea Ripley expressed what she feels the character Rhea Ripley is portraying, and what she kind of wants to get across in that character. So I thought it was kind of cool. They did that for a few of them. Rhea Ripley is the one that I remember the most, but I thought it was kind of cool seeing how the wrestler themselves portrays the character they are playing, I guess, if you want to say that. So I thought that was cool. They did a lot of showing like ring crew setup. I thought that was cool. Producers going over matches and like the creative room stuff. That was interesting. Again, could kind of gone without that, but that's what it was. Chelsea Green, I thought her stuff in this, and I don't remember which season it was. It might have been season one for her. But seeing Chelsea Green go from having a show in her hometown and not being on the card and having to like tell the 15, 20, 30 people you invited, hey, you guys are coming to the show, but I'm not going to be on it. Just seeing the emotions of that, and then her having to watch the show from either the booth or the suite, wherever she watched it from with her family, to then her winning her first singles championship. I thought her whole segments in this series was cool to see. I like them showing the emotion of, hey, this is professional wrestling. Some things you just have no control over, and she mentioned that multiple times. All you can do is do your best and hope you get the opportunity. And when you get that opportunity, try to hit it out of the park. So it's cool to see the stuff with her. Paul Heyman and John Cena. In a lot of their segments, they were both like, I'll give you some stuff, but I'm gonna give you hardly nothing, and I still might work you here. So I thought that was cool of them. There was a few people, Cena and Heyman were certainly two of the ones I remember who were kind of like, I'm not that big on this. I'm not a big fan of sharing all this information. So I thought that was cool. But yeah, overall, those are some of my thoughts. I really enjoyed this. Surprisingly, really enjoyed this. Like I said, I wanted to hate it, but I didn't. I enjoyed it, and I'm certainly gonna watch season three much sooner than it took me to finally watch these first two seasons. So let me know your thoughts on Unreal, what you like, what you didn't like, and I'll see you in the next one.